Okay, welcome to our very first day of tutoring. I see that we are live, so it is working, so that is good. The chat box is open if people join us, but since there's no one watching, then, we will take it as we come. Okay, so today, just to give you a quick heads up of what we're going to be covering and when we're going to be covering it. On Schoology, you can see that there is this, and for my fall semester kids, you don't have access to this, so if you wanted to take a picture or a screenshot if you're at home, that's basically it right there. The green days are us. The blue days are psychology. So here we are on the 20th, and then we have another review session this Thursday, 2 next week, Monday and Wednesday, and 2 the following week, Tuesday, Thursday, and then the test is the following Monday at noon. So we have one person joining us. Say hello in the chat box so I know who's joining us. And you left. That is awesome. That is splendid. Okay, so good times, good times. I am going to be passing around a sign-up sheet because, sure, there's a low turnout, but where's my paper?
Oh, was this the idea that Peyton gave you earlier?
No, this is I get paid.
Okay.
Yeah, and I need proof of the fact that you guys are here. So, thank you for showing up. I appreciate your attendance today. Okay. Just also put the date at the top if you don't mind. And I'll fill out the times later, how long this all goes. Okay, so quick review, basic economic concepts, which is what we're talking about today. Anyone know the definition of economics?
No one knows. Something about money and scarcity.
Scarcity, yeah, basically. See, the study of how societies deal with scarcity and what choices that they make. Thanks, Becca. And so scarcity is the idea of unlimited wants, yet we have these limited resources. And because of this conflict of unlimited wants and limited resources, we have to make choices. And economics is a study of those choices. So if we had unlimited resources, unlimited time, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, then we don't have to make a choice because it's not oh, I don't have enough money to buy that, or I don't have enough time to do those things. All those things would be unlimited. And so because of scarcity, that's the reason we make choices. Yay, big turnout.
Huge turnout.
Huge turnout.
Sorry, I'm late.
Tristan, no problem. Just sign in so I can get the moolah. So I will have more resources. So the reason we make choices is because of scarcity, and we see that in our very first graph, which is the PPF curve. So remember, PPF curve, the production possibilities curve, shows us the choices between two products. Usually it's capital and consumer goods. Capital goods being goods used in the production of the things that we buy. So I always think pizza ovens and pizza. So capital goods would be those pizza ovens, while consumer goods are going to be pizza. So the amount of capital goods totally affects the amount of consumer goods, but not the other way around. The amount of pizza that we have does not affect how many pizza ovens we have, but the vice versa is true. Does anyone remember the other PPF curve that we talked about? One day it was between military spending and domestic spending.
The bread and butter?
Close. Not bread and butter.
Guns and butter.
Guns and butter. So if you see this term, guns and butter, that is a classic PPF curve representing government choices between military spending and domestic spending. And the reason that is like one that's talked about a lot is like, we can't have both. We can't have all of our resources making like lots of guns and military and us being safe, and also lots of like government programs like welfare and national parks and education. When you make more of one, you're going to lose the opportunity to have the other. So the safer a country gets, maybe the less nice programs we have, or maybe the nice programs we have, more of those, we lose maybe some safety. And so, it's the idea of cost and those costs of our choices. So here we have capital goods and consumer goods. Remember, any point inside the curve, you have enough resources to do that, but it's just not most efficient. Okay, let's say that you were at A. What does it cost you to get to B level of production? Let's say A is inside the curve, on the curve between capital and consumer goods. What does it cost to go from A to B?
The standard between.
No, nothing.
Well, what's cost? Remember, opportunity cost is what you give up to do something else, right? It's the second best choice. It's what you lose to do something. When you go from A to B, you're actually gaining consumer goods. You're getting more of that, but you're not actually losing any capital goods. So, we've always been talking about like, oh, what's the cost of moving to point, B to C? And there will be a cost associated with that movement. But when you're going from like inside the curve to like on the curve itself, you don't have to lose anything because you were inefficient with the resources that you currently had. And making more, you don't have to give up anything, which is why it's best to be on the frontier itself, on a line, because you don't lose anything. There's no cost associated with moving to those levels of production. Welcome. But moving between those, going from B to C or C to B, you are going to give up some. Okay. Going from B to C, what do you gain and what do you lose?
You gain capital.
Yeah, you gain capital and you lose consumer. And so like just being able to read the graph and knowing like, okay, like these points, correspond with some level of production of capital goods and some level of production of consumer goods, and being able to tell the difference. So remember, opportunity cost is what you give up. What you give up to do something else. It's not where you are. It's the difference. It's what you've lost. So, like for example, I'm going to give you actually some numbers here. Okay, so we got, let's say, I don't know, guns and butter. Okay. What is the cost of the first 100 butters? 500 guns. Wait, was that right?
Oh, 800.
Oh, I didn't give you enough information.
Doesn't.
Okay.
200.
Yeah. If I say the first 100 butters, that means you currently are making 0 butters. Just the way that I phrased it. The first 100 butters, I'm gaining 100 butters, which means I was making 0 butters. If I was productive, I must have been making 1,000 guns, let's say. And so to make my first 100 butters, I can't continue making 1,000 guns because there's just a point outside of our PPF curve. It's not possible. I'm going to have to lose some amount of guns for those first 100. I'm going to have to lose about 200 guns to make more butters. What about the second 100 butters? What's that going to cost me?
300 guns.
300. That's more. That's more than it was before.
Yeah.
We lost 200. Then we lost 300. And if let's say that this is 300, let's pretend like it's not to scale. What's my third 100 butters going to cost me? Okay. Why did it change? Why did the opportunity cost change? It went from losing 200 to losing 300 to losing 500. What's the slope of this curve?
Not straight.
Not straight,
Not
okay.
linear.
Not linear.
It's not linear. If it was, it would be a constant PPF curve. But our curve, our slope is doing what? It is increasing, and that's the shape of that curve. That means no matter which direction I go, if I go from like A to B to C, or from C to B to A, the opportunity cost increases. So when you have a slopey curve looking like this, where it's actually curvy, this is an increasing PPF curve. It's opportunity cost. Did I misspell opportunity? Yeah, I did. Let's try that again. Opportunity cost increases on that slope where it looks like that. Opportunity cost is actually increasing. KK says, "Hi, Miss Taylor. Guess who?" Oh crap. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully you can give me some hints in the chat box. But hello, thanks for joining. All right, this is a constant opportunity cost. That means no matter where I am, what I lose stays the same. It's the same ratio. So, it might be like gain 1, lose 3. Gain 1, lose 3 again. Gain another 1, lose 3. Like the slope is going to be the same, and so the opportunity cost is the same. Do you remember which type of goods have constant PPF curves versus which type of goods have increasing PPF curves?
Well, they use the same SOPs.
Which one? Same resources for which one?
Constant.
For constant. Okay, so like cakes and cookies would be on a constant PPF curve because they basically require the same inputs. But when it comes to guns and butter or capital goods, consumer goods, that requires completely different resources. So you're going to have an increasing PPF curve. Okay, let's talk about what shifts the PPF curve versus like a movement. Okay, so a shift when the entire line changes versus a movement, a point on the line changes. So what caused the shift versus what caused the movement?
Changes FOPs.
Cause a shift, right?
Yeah.
So an increase, or else, let me just say this, a change in quality or quantity of FOPs. Like if you have more land, or if my land was just more productive, or if I had more pizza ovens, oh no, I made my pizza ovens more productive. And so it's just like a change in the quality or quantity. I misspelled quality. I put them in one word. Awesome. The quality or quantity of FOPs, of the factors of production. Okay, really quick review for those fall semester kids. What are those FOPs? What are those resources?
Like government spending.
Not government spending. Not government spending.
Consumer spending.
Oh, you're telling me aggregate demand shifters.
Capital.
Okay, capital,
Human capital.
human capital.
Entrepreneurship.
Look at you.
How do you remember this?
She's in this
I'm
one.
correct.
We've already started reviewing class.
What's FOPs?
Land factors of production. So these are the
Land.
resources that you need. Land
Land, labor.
and land labor. There we go. So these are the resources that you need in order to produce. And you need land, you need labor, you need capital, you need entrepreneurship. I hope you remember this, whoever's online. And you need human capital. Okay, what's human capital?
Education.
Education, some sort of training, some sort of thing that makes you a little better worker bee. So I either can have just more worker bees, that's labor, or I can train my worker bees to be more productive, and that's going to be human capital. What's capital?
Money.
No, not money.
Things.
Like
No.
machinery.
Machinery.
Pizza ovens.
Pizza ovens. So money buys the capital. In any other class, capital's money. Like you take a finance class, you take a business class, you take an entrepreneurship class, they're going to use the word capital and money interchangeably. Economists disagree on that concept. We are unusual. Okay.
So the PPF curve was for aggregate demand.
No. PPF curve is most similar to what other graph? Not aggregate demand.
Oh.
I mean, think about what the PPF curve stands for. We'll come back to the movement parts here in a second. But what does the PPF curve stand for? Production possibilities. Okay. What other line do you know that shows production? That shows the making of things.
Agri supply.
Which one though? Short run or long run?
Long run.
Short,
Long run.
because it's the one that curves over.
Yes, yes. So remember, the PPF curve is the same thing as long run aggregate supply. So a rightward shift of either of these things, ooh, that's an awful drawing, but that's long run economic growth. Whenever you see a question about like what grows the economy or economic growth in the long run, those are all PPF curve questions. And it's all things that would shift the PPF curve to the right. So going back to our shifters, an increase of any of these, increase of capital, human capital, entrepreneurship, land, labor, an increase of any of those things is going to increase our economy in the long run. So how's that different than a movement? What is changing here? To go from one point to another point.
That's the distribution of what you're deciding to.
Yes, I have the same amount of resources. How I use them is going to be different. And so like how you're using the resources that you have. So it's basically a change of choice of how you use those resources. It's a change in choice of the allocation of the FOPs. I don't have any more resources. I'm just changing how I use them. Okay. Let's talk about the idea of, it's kind of the same, but I'm running out of room, so I wanted to, the idea of like short run versus long run on PPF curves. Okay. And let's say capital, consumer goods. Capital goods and consumer goods. Short run, in general, means like the very first initial thing that happens. Like, example in real life. Short run is like, I go hang out with my friends, I have a good time. The effect of that is the long run. Oh, in the long run, I didn't have enough time to study. I didn't do so well on my test. So short run changes is like your choice. And then the effect of that is the long run. So here's an example of like a scenario. Interest rates decrease. There's a short run change and a long run change. What's the very first initial effect of interest rates are decreasing? What's the very first thing people are going to do?
More spend less.
They spend more money, but does this show spending? This shows production. Yes, they're going to spend more money, but that graph doesn't show that.
More capital.
More loans.
More loans to buy what?
Capital goods.
Capital goods. Okay, first you have to take out the loan to buy the pizza oven,
Yes.
which means you're probably going to be producing, first, more pizza ovens. Does that make sense? Okay, so the very first change would be like, ooh, I'm making more pizza ovens because I can take out more loans to make pizza ovens. Well, what's the effect of those more pizza ovens?
Price is going to increase.
And does that graph show that?
No.
We're not talking about prices or aggregate supply or demand just yet.
More pizzas.
More pizzas, more of both. So the short run change is like a movement because it's like, oh, I'm choosing now because of interest rates. I'm choosing now to make more of this. But in the long run, what's the effect of having more pizza ovens is more of everything.
So what are things that create movement? Just the allocation of the.
Yeah, I'm choosing to do something different with the same resources that I have. So let's say, just quick example, I have a farm, I have a garden, and I make carrots, I produce carrots and tomatoes. But there's an article that comes out that's like, tomatoes cause cancer. Okay, I'm gonna go from producing, let's say, this amount of tomatoes, which is a decent amount, to like no tomatoes. My land didn't get bigger, my farm didn't become more productive. I'm just choosing, I'm not making any carrots anymore. I'm gonna make all carrots and no tomatoes, because tomatoes cost
And
cancer.
like the shifts and the movements are both in like a short amount of time.
No, shifts are happening over time, like that's a long run time. So if a short run, typically on a PPF curve, it's gonna be movements.
Okay, and long run is the shift.
Yes, because that's the effect of the movement. So it's gonna be a shift. Those of you that are watching online, if you have a question or comment, you can use the chat box, and I can see you and respond. Okay. Let's talk about kind of a PPF curve. I want to talk about the circular flow model, which is the CFM, which is that house in the business. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Yes, the circular flow model. I'm just going to stick with the outside circle, ignoring the government, just because of how few questions include the government in the circular flow model. But here we have our house and our business and the two markets that we interact with them. So the first way that we interact with them is we buy stuff from them. So we give them money. We give that money it goes from like household income. It's the money that we make. But as soon as we give it to them, it becomes like business income. So it is the act of exchanging our household income into making it their money, and they give us goods and services. Do you remember what that transaction is called?
Products market.
The product market. Because I mean that makes sense. It's what you're buying. You're buying a product. And so like this transaction is the product market. But the money that the businesses make turn into income again for us because they give it back to us in form of a wage. So if they take their business income, the money that they make, and turn it in to household income. The money that we use as our income. All because we sold them resources. We sold them the factors of production. Which is land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, and human capital. So we give them labor, and they give us a wage. They give us income. So this is a dollar sign, and this is a dollar sign, and it's the same dollar sign because the money that we make in this factor resource market is the same money that we use to buy things in the product market. So the money that businesses make is the money that they spend on labor, which turns into money that we can spend on goods and services, which they take and they buy more labor or land or whatever the case may be. So the faster the circle flows, the more spending. I mean, like what other graph would I be referring to if this sped up, if this transaction sped up? If this is spending, our spending, their spending, what graph am I talking about? Aggregate demand. And so, these things, CIGXN, of course, and then like if they speed up too much, what type of gap would that be?
Inflation.
Right. If it slowed down?
Deflation.
Not deflation, but recession.
Oh.
Right? The opposite of inflation is deflation. Is the recession. Not wrong, just that's not a gap. Okay. All right. I want to quickly look. Hold on. I feel like I'm missing a big chunk. No, not scarcity.
So this is just aggregate. So
We're not talking about aggregates anything today.
okay.
We'll talk about aggregate stuff on Monday of next week.
This is just PPF.
This is basic economic concepts. PPF, a scarcity, opportunity cost, circular flow, and micro supply and demand. Okay. Not too heavy on the test. There are some micro concepts on the AP macro test. Because if you're talking about a single item, that's micro. If you're talking about a particular good or service, ooh, that makes me realize I need to say something. Let's talk about really quick. Macro versus micro? Just in general. What is micro study versus what is macro study?
Micro
Big,
is like specific industries. So
Yes.
Macro is just the flow of money in general.
Yes, so industries, certain businesses, even households, like really micro, like what is the Taylor household doing? Starving, I'm so hungry. The macro is more like big picture. This is like the economy as a whole. So ideas like obviously like GDP, that's all of our incomes added together. The idea of inflation. You know, if I say something like the price level, that's macro. But if I just talk about price, like the price of a candy bar, that's really specific. But the price level is like the price of all things. Interest rates, obviously. I think I told one of my classes this, but I had a student a few years ago that like on their way to the AP exam, like walking to the test room with like pencil in hand. And they're like, I get everything, I just don't get interest rates. Then you don't get anything. If you don't get interest rates, I can't help you, kid. All right, so let's talk about micro supply and demand, which is a supply and demand of like a single item. So we're just talking about a single item or good or service and like the supply and demand of that. So it's pretty, you know, very similar to aggregate supply and demand, but we're just talking about the price of like a single item and like the quantity of that item. It's just a smaller version of aggregate supply and demand because like if price is on one thing, everything is price level. And the quantity of everything, there's a word for that, that's GDP. Like the quantity of all things that we make in a country, that's GDP. So this is just a smaller, narrow version. But it's just a regular demand curve, regular supply curve. I mean, demand is downward sloping because of the law of demand. And the law of demand is pretty simple. It's pretty obvious. If prices go up, the quantity demanded of things goes down. And vice versa. If prices fall and things become cheaper and you buy more of them, the quantity demanded of those things go up. What type of relationship is this?
Inverse.
And that's why it's a downward sloping line, because that's a negative relationship. That's an inverse relationship. And so you see that, like that's what graphs show. They show relationships between the X and Y axis. Supply, though, is different. There's a law of supply.
Direct.
It's a direct relationship. Same thing, prices go up, but this time it's quantity supplied goes up. Prices go down, and the quantity supplied goes down. Why is that? Why would businesses supply less when prices are low?
Less profit.
Less profit. There's nothing in it for them. As soon as prices are high, they're going to try to supply as much as they can to make as much money as they possibly can. They're in the business to make money, not to make friends. Okay, so at this point where they intersect, what is a line? The definition of a line?
Something without a curve.
It's like a straight line. But like think about mathematical terms.
A constant
That's-
slope.
Not I mean, like a ray is like point that like goes on forever, right? A line is like 2 points that are connected.
Yeah.
Do you remember that from like way back when?
Not really.
Algebra, geometry, I don't know.
Geometry.
Like,
sure.
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
3
I
years
don't know.
ago.
So like this supply curve is made up of a whole bunch of points. This demand curve is made up of a whole bunch of points, just connected. When they are intersecting and they are in equilibrium, that point is both a point of supply, which is called quantity supply, and a point of demand, quantity demanded. They're equal. Everything's in equilibrium. But if prices, let's say, were set too high, let's say prices were set here. I know it's not a straight line, but whatever.
It's Taylor.
Sorry. This point, that is on the demand curve. So that's a point of quantity demanded. While this point right here is on the supply curve. So that's a point of quantity supplied. And there is a lot of supply because this is 0. And as you get further away, numbers get bigger. So if like this is a big number of quantity supplied, this is a smaller number of quantity demanded. So when prices are too high, QS is greater than QD. There's more supply than there is demand. What is that called? What S word? It is more stuff than people want it.
Surplus.
It's a surplus. I mean, the shortage makes sense. There's a shortage that doesn't like have
I just said the
flush
first
around.
S word that came to my mind.
It's a surplus. But Tristan, your moment's about to shine.
Yes.
Because if prices are too low, and think about that. If prices are too low, where does it hit demand curve? Right here, that point right there. Look at all that demand, but very little supply. Now we have a shortage. I want it so much because it's so cheap, but quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied, and that creates a shortage. I mean, think about the freeze that we had and the shortage of like power and electricity
And water.
and everything.
That kind of sucked.
Because there was so much demand for energy, so much demand for gasoline, so much demand for water, for this, that, and the other, and then there wasn't any supply of it really, and it creates a mass shortage. Of course, the price wasn't all that low either. I don't know. I don't know what happened. You probably don't need to know the shifters of regular supply and demand, honestly, but why not? So just let's do. I always like to do demand first. Demand shifters versus supply shifters. And this is just for micro.
Oh.
Yeah. The supply shifters for regular supply and aggregate supply are the same. So you don't have to like think too hard. Remember, it's night P. Do you remember night P?
Number of sellers, input prices, technology, expectations in the future, and productivity.
Perfect. Couldn't have said it better myself. Number of sellers.
I would hope so. I'm in this course right now.
Input prices. Technology. Expectations of future prices. Oh my gosh, writing is difficult. Expectations of future prices. And that's a P. And productivity. The more sellers there are of something, the more there's going to be a supply. The less sellers, the less supply. That just makes sense. When businesses shut down, there's less supply in the economy. Input prices. This one's kind of funky though. Think of this is the prices of like FOPs. And if we're talking about like microeconomic graphs, I'm talking about like sugar. But we'll start with pizza. That's relevant. Like pepperonis is an input to pizza. And so if pepperoni prices go up, you can't make as many pizzas because you can't afford as many pepperonis. And you're not about to like skimp out and be like, well, you get one.
Or just
You get one. We're just assuming that we're going to keep the quality the same. And it's like, let's pretend every pizza has 20 pepperonis on it. I can't afford as many pepperonis. I can't make as many pizzas. And so if input prices go up, the supply is actually going to decrease. Of course, if it's cheaper to buy pepperonis, you can make more pizza. Technology, more supply. Expectations, future prices is a little bit weird. Remember, your expectations always come true. Always come true. You want to see questions on the AP test, and this is true for aggregate supply and demand, regular supply and demand, interest rates, like loanable funds, like money market. It's all true for every graph. If you have a question that says, people expect interest rates to go up, or people are expecting inflation to fall, or people are expecting whatever, that on the graph will happen. Always. If you're like, they expect prices to go up, and then your answer is like, my prices went down. Your question's wrong. Your answer's wrong. Go back, reverse, abort, because it's wrong. So I want to show you really quickly why your expectations come true. Let's say you sell ice cream just for funsies. You are Bluebell. You are Bluebell ice cream. and you expect summer. You expect summer, and you expect the prices of ice cream to go up because it's summer and people love ice cream in the summer. And so you're expecting that in 2 weeks, ice cream sales are going to skyrocket. They're going to be really expensive ice cream. Okay. Are you going to supply more or less now if you can sell your ice cream for more in 2 weeks?
2 weeks. Wait, no, you're not.
Right. Why? The question, let me reverse.
Yeah.
What are they doing? What's happening?
They're-
It's like really windy, but then there's also people out there. Tristan, are they going to supply more or now?
They're not.
Are they going to supply more or less now?
Less.
Why?
Because they expect the price to go up, therefore,
They
no.
wanna
No.
increase the
What?
demand of people since they're like,
I have no, supply cannot change demand. Bluebell cannot change people's demand for ice cream.
Yeah.
I can change the supply. That's what I do. I make ice cream. But I can't be like, I can't shove it down your throat and be like, you like ice cream now.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but, like,
Well, in theory.
if summer is like ice cream becomes more popular, why would prices raise? Like if they know they can compensate for the number of people buying ice cream in the summer, why would the prices go up if they can? I don't know.
Prices are going to go up.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I sell ice cream for $5 a pint now. In 2 weeks, the same pint is going to be on sale for $10. Am I going to supply more or less now?
Less.
Why less?
Because you can sell it for more in 2 weeks.
Why waste my resources? I can just hold on to my milk and sugar and cream or whatever. Supply less now. Supply less now. Supplies less now. What happens to the prices of ice cream?
Oh, hey, it goes up.
Oh my God. It's because you expected it. You're cutting a supply now is the thing that raised the price.
Like creating like a shortage.
Yeah, well, be careful with the term shortage and surplus because that's only relating to when prices are set at a different amount than what they should be. Not because of a change, not because of a shift, but because of like, nothing shifted, but you know what, I'm gonna raise the price anyway, or lower the price anyway. Here, this is naturally going to cut the supply. That's not a shortage because look, at that point, if you're in equilibrium, the quantity demanded is equal to quantity supply. And the reason it's not a shortage is at higher prices, businesses supply less, but you also demand less at higher prices. It's too expensive. So everything kind of decreases and they're still in equilibrium. Aubrey, you have a look.
Sorry.
Okay, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right, let me go back to finishing my demand shifters. It's an acronym. It's a really good one. It's ECO.
How did I forget that already?
I don't know. Do you remember any of them?
Interest rates.
No.
There's an I.
There is an I.
Wait,
If I have more of this I can afford more ice cream. Income. You know what rich people buy more of?
Everything.
Everything.
tastes.
Tastes.
Taste.
Yes. Ice cream gives you cancer. Less demand for ice cream. No. Ice cream actually makes your hair shiny.
What if
More
you don't-
demand for ice cream.
What if you don't want shiny hair?
Who doesn't want shiny hair?
I don't know.
This is more like a fad and like what's popular. That's what I mean by taste. S would be a substitute. What's the substitute of ice cream?
Sherbet.
Sherbet, sure. So let's say that you're at the grocery store and you got ice cream and you got sherbet. But we're graphing ice cream. That's what we're graphing. But the substitute is sherbet. And let's say sherbet prices are really high. What's going to happen to your demand for ice cream?
Will it go up because the substitute's higher?
Right. This one's more expensive. It's either or. That one's more expensive. I'm going to demand more of this one. If you demand more of ice cream because sherbet's expensive, what happens to the price of ice cream?
It goes up.
It's going to increase. The money that you're like, oh, it's too expensive, I'll do something else, but that higher demand is going to make it go up.
Because okay.
Yeah.
Because they have to keep up with the demand.
Right.
And then
Look at everyone buying my ice cream because the sherbet's too expensive. I'm going to raise my prices too. And they can, as long as they're like a penny less than sherbet. Expectations. Future prices. But Ms. Taylor, I thought you said expectations was a supply shifter. It is. It's whoever expects. Bluebell expecting something, it's going to shift supply. But if Becca expects something about ice cream, then that's going to shift demand. Case in point, once again, demand, supply, price.
That's what I was thinking of earlier, because I was wondering why it's like, wouldn't the demand decrease if everyone's expecting? the
It
price to
depends
go
who's
up?
expecting.
Yeah.
Is it Bluebell that has inside information, or is it Becca that hears that like, hey, they're having a half off sale next week in ice cream? Next week. What happens to your demand for ice cream now if they're having a sale next week?
It's gonna go down.
Right, I'm not gonna buy it now, I'm gonna wait for the sale, that makes sense. No one buys things the week before Black Friday.
Well, some people do,
Some people
just
do.
get it out of the way.
True, that's true. Less demand for ice cream now, oh my gosh, what happened to prices? Yeah, like they were expected to. So whatever you expect will happen. So like you want those questions because it literally says the answer in the question. And C is compliments. Compliments are things that go with ice cream.
Cookies.
Cookies and ice cream. Okay, there's a sale of cookies.
Yeah.
Cookies are super cheap. And stock up on those cookies, but I'm asking you about ice cream. What happens to your demand for ice cream if cookies are on sale?
I think they also go up.
Right. Oh, I've got cookies. You know what goes best with cookies? More ice cream. So they do this at stores. You see this. They have like the cheese on sale. What's right next to it?
Crackers.
Crackers and bread.
Well, it's also-
And so they go together. And the money that you save on one, the other one's more expensive.
I mean, that's why they put all like the basic foods on the outside and all the stuff you don't actually need on the inside.
You have to go through. Yeah, you have to go through the basic foods to get to like the stuff, the milk.
It's hard.
The milk at the furthest store, the furthest back. Yeah, it's all psychology. This one says strategist number of buyers. More buyers, more demand, less buyers, less demand. Whenever there's a baby boom, prices go up because there's more people. Whenever like all these baby boomers die, prices are gonna fall because there's less people demanding things.
Baby boomers, I know this is not related, but they're the people that were born after.
World War II.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Because everyone's like, I'm alive. Let's celebrate. Everyone celebrates life in the same way by making more life. All right. So let's circular flow. Let's do some practice questions. Hey,
Are we going to talk about leakages and injections?
that's a great question.
What you said?
Leakages and injections. We are. Let's
So
talk about it. Okay. So leakages. And I have one more idea to also talk about. Don't let me forget. Leakages are money that leaves the circular flow model. It's maybe money that you make by selling your labor that you don't necessarily spend. It's not going to continue the flow. Like what? Savings. That's the biggest leakage.
What?
Savings. It's money that you make that's not continuing to flow to like money being spent. So not all money you made is spent. That's called save. So savings. What else is money that you make that you don't get to spend?
Taxes.
Taxes. Yeah, you don't get to spend taxes. It's spent for you. The government takes it as a leakage. And then this one is not like, it's not money that you make that you don't spend. It's just you spend it in someone else's circular flow model. You buy an imported thing. But in a perfect world, the money that is leaked out comes back in. It's injected back in some other way. That's a J.
Just needs a dot.
There. Injected. So your savings, hopefully you save money in a bank. And it gets injected back in because what does a bank do with it? They loan it out, right? They loan it out to businesses, to consumers. Mainly though, you think about loans, you need to think about businesses rather than consumers. How do your taxes get injected back in?
Government spending.
Right, basically. So public services, public works, welfare, Medicare, Medicaid, defense spending, so many. This amazing public education that you're getting. You too out there, I see you still watching. Good for you. And then hopefully our imports get injected back in as exports. Not so much. We import a whole lot more than we export. And so we actually have a leakage with a trade deficit. You know, we import a whole lot more than we export. So our leakages exceed our are injections. Okay, that, and not everyone saves money in a bank. So if you save money in like a jar or something, you bury it, 5 paces from the apple tree northwest, then you're going to have some leakages that are not injected. Okay, one more concept before we get into some practice questions. Do you remember the idea of normative versus positive statements?
Yes.
No.
It's been a while.
Okay, suggested versus
That's
based on facts. Right?
Yeah, one's a fact. The other one's an opinion. Okay, so which one's a fact?
normative.
Positive.
I'm positive it's a fact.
What? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Whatever, Miss Teal.
Well, I'm just trying to help. So positive statements are factual statements. They are based in data. You can graph it. You can prove it with math. Normative statements talk about how the world should be. That sounds like an opinion to me. It's how, I can't write. Opinion. It's how the world ought to be. Hey, you know what? We should raise minimum wage. What type of statement is that?
Normative.
It's a normative statement. So it's up to economists to come up with positive statements. It's up to politicians to take those positive statements and turn them into policy. Of course, if you have 100 economists in the room, you're going to have 100 different factual statements that are all true, that sometimes conflict with each other. But you can say raising minimum wage will hurt the economy. That's true. You could also say raising minimum wage will help the economy. That's also true. And you can prove both of them with like data and graphs. So it's up to politicians to be like, which one do I side with?
But
So-
which one's more true?
Which one's more true?
Yes.
It's up for you to decide.
Oh, man.
Based on the case, right? Or the situation.
I think it might be different depending on like how much we're raising it by.
We don't talk about stock market in the test, right?
No.
Okay. Like in the circular flow model, like.
Okay, that's a good thing about, or not good thing, just a thing about the circular flow model is that where's the banking industry? It's not like, but businesses don't pay for, it's not the same. It's like the financial sector, like the stock market and the bond market is nowhere in here. So this is an extremely simplified version of like very complicated stuff because even the government's not in here.
Okay.
And so, yeah, the financial sector of the economy is not represented in the circular flow model. Okay, let's get to some practice questions.
Yes.
So I got these from AP Classroom. I found 17 good ones that represent just like in general basic economic concepts, a little bit of everything. The 17th question is a little FRQ practice that we're gonna do. So which of the following, I don't know if you can see this online, kids.
Do you want to just blurt it out or like?
I'll give you a second and then we'll do some blurting. You know what? To stop the blurting,
Yes.
I'm gonna give you guys,
We didn't blur it.
I'll give you guys boards. You can write a letter on your board and then we can hold up the board. That way you're not being, bombarded with someone shouting.
Can we use notes on this?
Yeah.
Okay. Making sure.
Okay. Which of the following is true according to the circular flow model? A, firms are suppliers of both product and factor markets. B, firms are demanders in the product market and suppliers in the factor markets. C, households are demanders in both the product and the factor markets. D, households are demanders in the product markets and suppliers in the factor markets. Or E, the government is a demander of the product market only.
What does it mean, product market and the factor market? Like, how is it different?
Well, the product market is for goods and services. That was those 2 up arrows up top. The factor market are the down arrows down the bottom. I have 2 answers in. I'm gonna grab some water. Tristan, you got an answer? Get 1 minute to answer a question. Your time is up.
1 minute. B.
Okay,
No, I'm gonna change that actually. Wait, is it right?
I don't know.
Because I don't think it is.
Oh.
D is correct. Okay, households buy products, but they supply their labor in the factor market. C is incorrect because they are not demanders of both products and resources. It's businesses that are demanders of resources.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Makes sense.
All right. Any point inside the PPF curve is, I'm going to give you, I'll let you read it yourself because I think it was too wordy. Inside the PPF curve. Okay, it looks like we have same answer all the way around. That is correct. Associated with inefficient use or unemployment or some resources. Remember, what is this on an aggregate supply and demand graph? What is that point inside?
Recession.
That's a recession. So of course there's unemployment. In fact, there's unemployment use the real word of unemployment, not just unemployment of some resources, unemployment of labor, that's unemployment. All right, here's a graph question. I'm gonna have to scroll a little bit. I don't know if you can see the question. Oh, okay, it's one of these. So I'm gonna hide it. You're gonna write 1, 2, or 3, or like 1 and 2, 3 and 2, 1 and 3, that type of thing. So here we have, on the basis of the diagram above showing an economy's PPF curve of two goods, which of the following statements must be true?
Why
Your marker sucks?
not right?
Got this. One, 2, and 3. I actually haven't even read the question yet. 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, let's see. All right, the opportunity cost of moving from point P to R is 10 units of Y. So P to R is going from here to here. It looks like I gain this amount of X and I lose, I go from 30 to 20 of good Y. And so that, you're right, that is the difference of 10 units of good Y. All right, let's look at the answer, the next one. The opportunity cost of moving from R to P is 8 units of X. So if I'm going from R to P this time, I'm gaining my 10 units of Y, but I'm losing 21 minus 13. That sounds like, right? That's 8. And so that's of good X. So that is also correct. And the opportunity cost of moving from point Q to R is 0 units of Y. Q to R, it looks like we're gaining X, but we're not losing any Y because we were inefficient with our resources anyway, so we can make more without losing anything. And so, yes, all 3 answer choices are correct. Good. Okay.
Are we right?
Y'all are right.
Yes.
Very proud. A leftward shift of the supply curve for computers could be caused by which of the following in the short run? A leftward shift of the supply curve for computers would be caused by what? So look at your shifters for supply and see which one, bless you, would cause a leftward shift of supply for computers.
So those answers that have price in it have nothing to do with the PPF stuff.
Well, remember, we're talking about supply. So we're talking about the supply and demand graph.
And that has to do with prices.
Yes, because and remember, the price, if I'm talking about computers or any graph, whatever's on the y-axis, in this case is price of computers, cannot shift the graph. So I don't, let's make up a graph between daisies and cats. And so let's say there's a positive relationship between daisies and cats. I don't know what shifts that graph, but I know it's not a change of daisies. So whatever's on the y-axis is change of that can't possibly shift the curve. I just drew a PPF card, didn't I?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
is this right?
A.
Yeah,
Yes, a decrease in the number of computer manufacturers. Okay, a decrease of taxes would actually, is that a shift, would that shift the supply of computers?
No.
It should demand, right?
Mm.
Wait.
It would shift supply because that would be an input price.
Oh.
It's not a direct like computer part that goes in the production of computers, but this is actually gonna cheapen the production of computers, so they're gonna make more. So this would be a rightward shift, but we're looking for left. So B would shift it just the wrong direction. A decrease in the price of computers wouldn't shift it at all. This is a no-go for both supply and demand. A decrease in the price of components is basically saying cheaper resources. B and D are the same, so also no. An increase in the price of mobile, that's a substitute good. Ooh, that's a demand shifter, not a supply shifter. Tristan, do you have a question?
I figured it out. in my
Okay.
brain. Well, actually, you said it. So.
Oh, which one was it? Okay, that's fine. So I'm just curious where the thought process was,
Yes.
and I want to be able to say like a thing, but
So prices don't shift demand at all.
prices do not shift the demand of the good I'm talking about. Prices will shift price of substitutes, prices of complements, but not the price of money market. Oh my God, what am I doing? Help. Money supply, whatever, money demand. I know, I messed it up. It's fine. You know what shifts this graph? Not nominal interest rates.
No.
Let's do loanable funds, just for fun. You know what shifts this graph? I don't know. Not real interest rates. You want to do Phillips curve? Oh my God, what am I doing? You know what shifts this graph? Not a change of inflation. Whatever is on the y-axis can't possibly shift any curve that it is. It creates a movement though, but not a shift. You're writing that down. Yeah, that is a guaranteed about every graph. All right. The circular flow diagram of a market economy. Market is like us, capitalism. What's the opposite? Like if the government owned everything, what's that?
Communist.
Yes, but do you remember like the geography term?
Yeah.
It's also a C word.
Communist. No,
It's not constructive.
It's not.
It's not.
Command.
Command.
Man.
Okay, so they're going to use like market to talk about capitalism, command to talk about communism, and then mixed would be like socialism. Okay, so in the circular flow model of a market economy, which of the following supplies the factors of production?
The household sector.
Yeah, the household sector. If it was command, what would the answer be?
It's government.
The government. Okay, so our circular flow model has house and business. China's circular flow model would be like government and government. I don't even know. All right, which of the following represents a leakage from the circular flow model? Imports.
Well,
Sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry.
We have boards for a reason. Everyone wants to draw. Okay. All right. If a certain combination of goods or services lies outside the production possibilities curve of an economy, which of the following is true? Let's write on our boards.
I got this. You had a question like this on the quiz the other day.
Yes.
Or it might have been this question.
I believe it was this question.
But it doesn't tell if it's like it lies like, outside.
Outside.
Okay, so.
Wait,
Okay.
I have it. I don't know. I'll give him.
Okay.
Wait, I think I have it. No, I have it. Is
Be
it
bold, Tristan.
that? I'm confident with this.
This graph, the PBF curve, shows what is possible.
Yes.
A point outside the curve is not possible. You don't have enough resources to reach it.
Oh, that makes more sense.
E can't be shown.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why that seems like it should be obvious, and I don't know why I didn't. I don't know.
Because at a certain point, all the answers kind of sound very similar.
Yeah.
And oh, that sounds fancy.
Yeah.
That might be it.
Yes.
Yeah, look at those big words that they're using.
I don't know if you told me, but whenever you look at AP College Board questions, the longest answer is usually the right answer.
If you cannot guess, if you cannot narrow it down at all, yes, you go with the longest answer. Seriously. That's like no joke.
It's kind of funny.
If you cannot guess, if you can't narrow it down, longest answer wins. All right. So the PPF, a curve that is concave to the origin, meaning it's bowed out, implies that as more of a good is produced, the opportunity cost.
Wait, that's more.
Okay, first off,
He's right. He has Wait, you used to be in band?
like in junior high.
Okay.
But I think I'm right. No, I played the flute. No, what do you play?
Oboe.
Okay. Boop. Gotta moisten the reed. Yeah, it is. Oh, wait, did y'all say D?
Yes.
Yes, it's increasing. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, I really like this question, like a lot. Okay. Assume that an economy produces two goods, capital goods and consumer goods. If the production of capital goods increases in the current period, which of the following will occur for the current and future production possibilities curve for consumer goods and capital goods? I love the so timid little B. B is correct. Okay, that's the one we just did earlier with like the short run and the long run. Like you make more capital goods, it's going to be a movement at first, but then the effect of that is a rightward shift of that PPF curve. Very good. Okay. Ooh, a PPF curve, but in table format? Maybe. So the table shows the PPF curve for country X in producing shirts and chairs when using all of its available resources. The opportunity cost of producing an additional chair is, and then I'll like there. The opportunity cost of producing one additional chair is okay. Remember what is opportunity cost?
How much you lose.
What you lose. So when you make more chairs, look at the chairs that I'm making. You lose some amount of shirts. How many shirts do you lose at first?
4.
How many shirts do you lose again?
4.
How many shirts do you lose again?
4.
Again?
4.
It's constant.
Oh.
It's the same amount of loss. Who is it? Hey.
Hi, Miss Please.
Yeah, compared that to yours yesterday.
Did you see mine yesterday?
Yeah, standing room only.
Today we were in the LG.
Cool. Seniors. Second semester seniors.
Yes.
The 4. So that a few would be the correct term for that.
A few, yes. More than a couple.
Person. Yes. Send them on a screen. Did you have any yesterday?
Oh, this is our first day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good turnout.
I know. So proud.
It's because they feel so confident because you taught them so well the first time.
Yeah, especially my fall semester kids that I haven't seen since December.
They should be here.
They should be here.
Oh, dear.
I got 2. Half. 50%. Not too shabby.
Okay, but we appreciate you.
We do. We do. I get paid $20 an hour for being here. I appreciate it. All right.
We appreciate you, Miss Joe.
Oh, thanks. Okay. Assume that the market for bottled water is in equilibrium. Okay. If both the supply and the demand of bottled water decrease, what will be the effect on equilibrium price and quantity? This is something you just draw. You do not do it in your head, you draw it. So what's going to happen to the price and quantity of water if both supply and demand decrease?
What is this equilibrium? That's like it's not moving.
That's your boobs.
So are we trying to draw like two different points at they're both lower, or are we just gonna shift the curve so it happens?
I don't know what you just said. I mean, I heard all the words that you said. I don't know what you're talking about.
Manipulating the graph by shifting a line.
Both lines.
Whoa.
And this doesn't look, is it right?
The answer I have in
What
my
graph
mind.
are you doing? Because we're doing supply and demand of water bottles, which is just regular supply and demand.
Yep.
Next
they're
Monday.
both decreasing.
Yes.
I should really read that better. Like that would have like
Reading is hard. It really is.
can be.
Redo this. Price.
The price gonna be.
Okay, an E.
Yes.
Supply, demand.
I'm confident in my answer.
We got an E, we got an A.
I'm sticking with it.
Some people are slow to respond.
I thought you were talking about us first.
Oh, I am. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about Becca now.
I would just have to guess D or A.
You already saw me. I already erased.
We'll just go with D. Sammy said D or A, and I feel like it's
So
right.
we got a D, we got an E, we got an E, and an A. Okay, let's graph. So here we have price, quantity, demand, supply. Boop, 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 boop. They're both decreasing. Let's do one at a time. Let's do demand decreasing first. Demand shifts to the left. We have a new equilibrium that's lower prices and lower quantity. That's demand shifting. Let's talk about supply shifting left. Okay, new supply curve. Now we have an equilibrium price of here. So it went up. And then we have quantity fall again. So quantity is for sure going to fall because when I decrease demand and supply, quantity fell for both. But when it comes to prices, well, when I shifted supply, they went up, but when I shifted demand, they went down. So I cannot tell what happens to price, but I can tell you what happens to quantity. You're right, Tristan. You should have been bold. You were. It paid off. Good job, Ari. And it is E as in elephant. What am I writing? What am I doing? What's going on? Okay. Moving along. Number 12. Same type of question. Let's see if you guys can figure it out. A simultaneous increase in both the demand and the supply for a good in the market will lead to which of the following changes in equilibrium price and quantity of a good?
Oh, it's just
It's the opposite.
The opposite?
Well, they're both increasing now.
Oh,
It won't have an opposite answer, but it's an opposite situation.
okay. You guys do this the best. I'm still drawing.
They are not drawing. They're being bold. Risky, but bold. I love the timid little C. It's so
I don't
cute.
want to erase so much.
Honestly, yeah.
Oh, I didn't give you erasers. Oh, my
I
bad.
was using my rocket book.
Oh, that's true. With your Rocketbook cleaner.
Yes.
What's it?
It's the greatest invention that mankind has ever come up with.
I mean, it's fine. Penicillin's probably better.
No.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper, yeah. The whole spinning action. How efficient.
Nothing compares.
Hey, you guys should sing me happy birthday because it's been about 15 birthdays since Becca has started this problem.
I think it was graphic roller.
Can I see? Here's an increase in demand. You. I
I just think if you don't
It's
think
I said
about it,
that. It's the same except
If
opposite.
you don't think about
it too much.
Yes, and quantity.
But if you start like thinking it over.
Yeah, it did, but you don't know how far it shifted. It could have shifted a little bit or a lot of it, so you can't tell if it is gonna stay the same or decrease or increase. You don't know, that's the problem. So yes, prices will be indeterminate and quantity will increase. You guys all got it right. Hooray. Let's move on to 13. Ooh, graph. Look at this. The supply and the demand for a good are shown in the diagram above. At PO, not P prime, what's PO? P naught?
It says like, if you keep going up.
Yeah, but like, how do you say that? Is it PO?
Oh, yeah.
And the diagram above, which of the following is true? Okay, so it's at PO, so get a good look at that.
Wait, there's
Oh, it's the same thing
too
we were
much
talking
stuff
about
to
earlier.
remember to like.
It's a.
It's, you don't remember it,
I
you
remember
just
this.
read the graph.
Oh, I hate. Oh,
No, but I mean like there's too much like you can't see the graph. Oh,
Oh, I get it, yeah.
Mm.
Wait, pause. I'm gonna see if I can do something.
This is dumb. This,
What?
this wording.
Is that?
ooh, that does work.
Yeah, but for online kids. But there's only 2 of them, so like, boo, who cares?
Oh, did you
All right.
figure out who said guess who?
No.
Like, I know there's this. There's one of the wordings from one of the quizzes you had earlier, and it was really weirdly worded.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I do that.
Oh.
I know, the font is tiny.
Make it bigger.
No, not your font, the font on the screen. Is it a shortage or a surplus?
Shortage.
It's a shortage. Okay, let's say you had no clue. No clue. Here's a good test taking strategy. There's 2 that say surplus and there's 3 that say shortage.
Oh, the one that says more.
Right. And so it's usually gonna be a shortage and prices are too low, which means eventually if you want to be in equilibrium, they gotta go up. And so there should be upwards pressure on the prices, okay? And the equilibrium is wherever they meet at 60 units.
Let's see.
It is the as in dog. And demand. Yay. All right. 14. Okay, this, I'm gonna go back to regular size font. Which of the following would cause a shift in the PPF curve inward?
Wait.
TikTok. On the clock. But the party don't stop. Okay. Remember, a leftward shift is going to be caused by less resources.
Yeah.
The resources being land, or labor, or capital entrepreneurship. Unemployment would just be a point in.
Yes.
You don't have less labor, you're just not using it. And so if you have unemployment, it's a point change, not a shift. So it's a movement, not a shift. Okay. We're almost done. Oh my gosh, there's graph answer choices. Okay, assume that consumers, assume that for consumers, pears and apples are substitutes. It is announced that pesticides used on most apples may be dangerous to consumers' health. As a result of this announcement, which of the following market changes is most likely to occur in the short run in the pear market? So apples are dangerous to your health. What's going to happen to the pear graph?
Oh. Oh, this is substitutes.
It is. That should narrow down what curve is shifting.
Wait, can you go back up?
So substitutes are only gonna be for the day.
Yes.
Oh, they draw the arrows like this one.
They do, and I don't like it. Well, what am I gonna do?
Wait, yeah.
Apples are dangerous to your health. Show me what happens to pears. Becca, you got pears? Don't do apples. Don't have a left of demand for apples. I mean, that would be the case, but I'm asking about pears.
But I still prefer apples.
Well, they're substitutes. It says so in the problem.
Well, it's true, but
Okay, it should be more demand. Less demand for apples, yes, but I asked about pears, which is gonna be more demand for pears. Okay, which of the following would best explain an inward shift in the PPF curve? I feel like you're giving me a lot of the same letters as answers. It's D. Haven't like they all been D?
Yeah, the last two you have been.
Yeah. Okay,
the quiz that you gave us today had a lot of D's for the answer.
that's true.
Meaning nervous.
Okay, here's our last little bit. We're gonna do a little practice FRQ. There's a whole question on the board, so thank goodness. It says, assume gasoline is sold in a competitive market. The equilibrium price is $50 per barrel and the equilibrium quantity is 1,000 barrels. Using the numerical values above, draw a correctly labeled graph of the gasoline market and show each of the following. Show equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. B, at the price of $40 a barrel, will there be a surplus or a shortage, and explain. C, assume that new oil wells are discovered. On your graph in part A, show how this change will affect the equilibrium price and quantity for the market of gasoline. D, assume that instead of an increase of the price of gasoline, let's you read it. You can figure it out.
How would you know what would be like X and Y? And is there a correct way to put like prices?
Yes, price is always on the y-axis.
But oh,
Hey, Miss Taylor, good job on the eco teaching like always and winning the freaking yay. Oh, thanks, Jacob. Jacob Saxetter, thank you so much. I appreciate the shout out. I hope you're doing well. A former student joined. I want to see the whole thing. I'm going to give you time to see the whole thing. And I know you have a board, but you can use the back of the board if you run out of space.
or I can use my rocket book.
You could use your rocket book. Hey, Gustavo. Oh, thanks, Gustavo. I appreciate that. I am trying not to kill it too much. I'm wearing my mask to be safe and, you know, social distance and all that good stuff.
I don't know how to do that.
I'm going to give you about like 3-ish more minutes to finish up.
Yes.
No rush.
Would it be incorrect to say that cars are a complement to gasoline?
Yeah, they go together. They're not a substitute. It's not gasoline or cars. It's gasoline and cars. So that's the relationship between substitutes. It's or. Complements, it's and. Peanut butter and jelly.
number D is saying like if cars cost more money than gasoline, does what?
So like, there's an increase in gas-operated automobiles. So automobiles that use gas are more expensive. How's that going to change the market for gasoline? So you're not graphing on D, you're just explaining. So like the big trucks that require gasoline are super expensive. How is that going to affect supply and demand of gasoline?
It's gonna go down.
What will? You have to pick a graph, like pick a line. You just can't say it goes down. You got to say supply or you got to say demand. Oh, you're going to grade yourself. Don't show me because I'm not going to read it all.
Okay.
But we're going to grade ourselves.
Gotcha.
Wait, so you're increasing. So I need a drop. I don't have room to.
You got to wrap the book, my dear. You said so yourself. Oh no, what is this? Yes, keep me signed in. Oh, AP Classroom. It scared me. I thought it was my YouTube that was kicking me out. You're gonna grade yourself. Okay. How much more time do we need?
I just don't know how to do that one.
What's that one? I don't know what you're pointing at.
Um.
Give me a letter.
Okay, so I understand like I understand what change will occur, but I don't understand how you're supposed to show the change on the graph in C.
By a shift.
Okay. So that would.
If you have a graph, don't forget your boops. Your graph is incomplete unless I see your boops. Boop, 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 boop. Are you done, Becca?
I'm giving up.
No, no, that's awful to hear. That gives me sadness.
It's been a couple months.
It has been a couple months. Okay, but it's all gonna. It's like riding a bike. You don't forget how to ride a bike.
Well, you did.
I did, but that's just me. I tell you guys one story. Okay, let's talk about gasoline. Gasoline. You know what? We're gonna go to the. Here, there we go. On A, you are to draw a correctly labeled graph with price on the Y, quantity on the X, and your equilibriums need to be clearly labeled at $50 on the price and $1,000 on the X-axis. Give yourself a point if you got that right. On part B, your response should say that there's going to be a shortage in the market at $40 per barrel. Because $40, there's more supplied than there is demanded. So there's going to be a shortage.
Was
You just switched the.
you
You
said
said
more
there'd be more
supply than
supply than there is.
So,
demand.
sorry, quantity supply will be less than quantity demand. I can't read. I went to Decker Prairie. So, whatever.
How do you explain it? Just say like because something falls, the other thing will fall.
Well, with prices are below equilibrium. And when prices are below equilibrium, there's going to be more demanded than there is supplied. And so that is a surplus. Oh, sorry, that is a shortage. What did you say?
It's just shortage because it falls under the equilibrium price.
I honestly don't know if that's enough.
Okay. Because there's more demand.
Not because there's more demand, well, more, you can say more quantity demanded. Demand is the entire line. A point is quantity demand. So I always think of like, what do you call the team that doesn't have the ball? Tom ball. No, but really, what do you call the team that doesn't have the ball? There's offense and then there's,
defense.
so the entire defense is the defensive line. The D line is the entire line. But that one player, that one little point on the defensive line, he's such a cutie. He's a QD. Okay, so 1 point QD, the entire line itself is D.
QD, what?
He's like a cutie,
Cutie.
like a cutie pie, like super cute. A QD as in quantity demanded, a point on the line. Oh my god. Okay. I have to throw back to my on-level days when we actually spent a lot of time talking about supply and demand, like quantity demand, like quantity supply. That was like all on-level. Okay, for this next part, there should be a rightward shift in the supply curve with a lower price level. Sorry, not price level, but price, and a higher quantity. Because this is not the automobiles one, is it?
No.
No, what question was this?
D is the automobile.
The gasoline one. Okay. Yeah.
This is when there's a new well for gas.
Yes, so there's more supply because you could say that it would be more suppliers, or you could say more technology. I mean, it just makes sense that there's more supply.
What labels would be correct to be used here? Because I just said S1 and S2
That's fine.
for the thingies and then.
Yeah. You didn't have to do like S prime
Okay.
or anything like that. S1 and S2 is perfect.
But their supply goes down, right?
No, that's a rightward curve. That's a rightward shift. It's further away. This is 0.
Oh, okay.
Look how farther away you're getting from 0. That's why supply is tricky.
Because I thought since there were like two companies making the same thing, the prices are going to decrease because they want to compete with each other.
No.
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 Okay.
Oh, stop. Okay. Feed. Now here we go. This is not a graph. You're just explaining. The response should state that the demand for gasoline will decrease, or you could say the demand shifts to the left, because explaining that the price of gasoline automobiles, like they're too expensive, so no one's going to buy them, so they don't need gas anymore. There's less demand for gas if these like big trucks that are using gas are too expensive.
I thought there was more core, so did I read that wrong?
Maybe it was like gas used vehicles, there's an increase in the price of those.
I thought there was an increase of cars in general.
No, the price of the cars.
Okay.
And last but not least, letter E. The response should say that the equilibrium price will decrease and the equilibrium quantity will be indeterminate. Okay. How we do?
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5? Not bad. I'll take it. Okay. Any last questions before we adjourn for the day? All right. You can erase your boards.
Can I have a little eraser?
Eraser.
Yes.
Much for my hand.
Where's my, okay, all my erasers in here and I don't want to like move things. So you can grab a Kleenex to erase. How fun. Erase. You already use yours. Erase. Okay, so if there's any last questions for you guys, otherwise I'll see you guys later. Our next tutoring session is this Thursday, where we're going to be covering, I don't know. What are we going to be covering? We're going to be covering economic indicators, GDP, GNP, inflation, the idea of real versus nominal, CPI, PPI, unemployment, the Fisher equation, all of those big economic indicators that's used throughout every single unit. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye, Miss Taylor.
Bye, kiddos. Thank you for coming.